I know the early access element to Battlefield 5 is causing a little bit of a rift in the community at the moment. Some people aren't fans of paying more money to get earlier access. I totally get that point of view, and to be honest, the staggered launch with 3 different launch dates for Battlefield 5 is just confusing to say the least. However, there is one advantage to this that I can point out. DICE has an early opportunity to collect data about their weapon balance, vehicle balance, how people use the tools they've been given, and then they can figure out priorities for new things making their way into the game. And in this video today, I've got a bunch of information that DICE has released over the last few days about some of that new stuff that will be added to Battlefield 5 very soon. First of all, let's talk about some of the features that were listed in the full patch notes document released by the DICE team on the day that early access began on November the 9th. And we're going to detail some items that DICE has already spoken about before the launch. Again, I know there's quite a conversation about what DICE should and should not have included with the launch of Battlefield 5. I know things were mentioned as part of a marketing campaign that then got pushed back. In my opinion, that wasn't okay, but we are where we are today, and at least we do get to know about these features and that they are still coming to the game. Let's start off with gunner crouch support. Now, this is a feature where you're going to be able to duck down from the gunner position on top of vehicles. At the moment, you're exposed, and a lot of the time, you get your head sniped off. I've done that to a lot of people already, and I've had it done back to me as well. To be on the receiving end, it's quite frustrating. There's no real way to defend yourself other than to shoot back at a player, but sometimes it's another player that shoots you whilst you're concentrating on something else. So gunner crouch support is targeted for the Tides of War Chapter 1 patch, and Chapter 1 starts in early December, so not too far away, although the same feature for stationary weapons on the ground, things like the PaK-40 gun, mounted machine guns, AA cannons, and even more, that's a little bit further away because they operate differently to gunner positions on vehicles, so for those stationary weapons, it's going to take a little bit longer. Next up, body dragging. I know this one is probably the most asked about feature for Battlefield 5. I see the question in my comment section literally every single video, people asking where this feature is. DICE is still working on it, and it will arrive soon, TM. But right now, there is no fixed date or time period for it. Now, I did speak to a DICE dev in Stockholm at the launch capture event, and they said they have a version of it working in-house at the moment, but it's not ready to be released. It needs to be cleaned up, it needs to be polished, and properly tested first. So, I know it's a feature that we all want, we are going to have to wait a little bit longer, but it is still coming to Battlefield 5. Next up, we have a limb penetration damage model. That's going to be implemented for the full launch of Battlefield 5, so that should be here very soon. This is a feature that correctly calculates a kill based on trajectory if other body parts happen to be in the way before you hit a player's head. So for example, if a soldier's arm happens to be in the trajectory of a bullet that is also in the trajectory of hitting that player's head, the game will correctly attribute that as a headshot kill, as the bullet would go through the arm and then hit the head behind it. Previous Battlefield games did not have this feature, and that would result in some strange scenarios where you know you should have hit a headshot, but another body part sort of came in and absorbed the bullet instead, just giving you a hit marker. That's being rectified and will be in at the full launch of Battlefield 5. We will also be getting a ground-based airplane resupply station. That's going to be implemented again for the full launch of Battlefield 5. So to resupply, airplanes will now have to fly very near or through what DICE is calling a skyhook gate on the ground, and that's going to be 2 masts with a hanging cable connecting them, so you know what you're looking for. They're going to be placed around the edges of maps, and they'll show up in the HUD with the supply icon when you're in an airplane. Next up on the list is a really important change, I think, and one I'm really excited to see. A brand new tactical deploy screen is going to be implemented into Battlefield 5. It's going to replace the current split of squad deploy and the deploy screen, and it's going to combine them together. DICE heard feedback from the open beta that players would prefer them to be combined in some way, so that's exactly what they're doing. Something like this isn't a quick fix, it's going to take some time, and therefore this is not something that has a date attached to it yet, but here's what's going to happen. The squad deploy camera, and that's where you see the over-the-shoulder view of your squad mates, that's going to be taken out of the death loop and it's going to be added to the deploy screen, which is the top-down map view. And you're going to see squad deploy as a tab on that screen. You'll then be able to flick between both screens as you wish, but this will shorten the death loop and take you back to the top-down map every time you bleed out. So essentially, the game is implementing a Battlefield 4 style deploy screen, but rather than the soldier camera being in the bottom corner, where it's quite small, you'll be able to go full screen with your squad mates and see exactly where they are. Now, DICE says this will enable you to make more tactical choices about where you want to spawn back in from, as you'll have more information on one screen, rather than the information being split across two screens where you cannot return to one if you choose to go to the other. It's a good quality of life fix, this one, and I think it's something that a lot of players have been asking for. And another big change now, DICE is also going to be upgrading the kill card. They're calling it Kill Card 2.0. Currently, the kill card is extremely short and it doesn't give you a lot of information before moving on to the downstate screen. That's where you can skip or hold on for a revive. The kill card will be bolstered with more information about your killer, how they killed you, what they were using, and in general just improve that experience so you have a better understanding of how it is that you got killed. No one likes dying, but DICE is trying to make the experience more informative, similar to Battlefield 3 or 4's kill cards. Again, this is not a quick fix, there's no date attached to this change yet, but it is nice to see that DICE is going to change this experience and make it a bit better. So those are the changes that came directly from the patch notes for the launch of the game, but that's not the only set of changes and upcoming features that we now know about. The other day on Twitter, Eric Ortman, who is the lead engagement designer at DICE for Battlefield 5, he handed out some details about how the team is working to improve the experience when it comes to playing the game and progressing your items. Firstly, Eric addressed that some players have already reached rank 50 for their career in Battlefield 5. He congratulated those people, but he says there will be more progression outside of your career rank and weapon ranks coming very soon with the Tides of War chapter rank. If you've been properly keyed in the first few days of early access and you have hit rank 50, then I will say congratulations to you as well. That's just an insane achievement, but there will be more coming for you in early December when that first chapter arrives. He does say that the progression is a little bit different in your chapter rank compared to your career rank, and they're exploring more ways that they can increase the career rank and change the progression there as well in the future, so you've always got stuff to achieve. Eric also said that the team is working to reduce the amount of clicking and moving in and out of menus within your company, which was a big bugbear of mine that I mentioned in my gameplay video last week as a negative for Battlefield 5 at the moment. The entire customization setup is quite finicky and unintuitive in my opinion, but it's great that DICE heard the feedback and will be making some changes to make customization less annoying. The amount of customization that we have in this game is great. It goes far beyond what Battlefield 1 offered, but the way you have to go about it at the moment is quite laborious, so I'm excited to see what those changes are when they release. And additionally to that, DICE is working on improving the customization experience across factions as well. Eric says that some players are annoyed that their weapon and gadget loadouts are not synced across factions, and sometimes people forget to change things before they spawn back in to a new map. That's changing, improvements will be made to that flow, which is good to hear. The customization of specializations on your weapons and vehicles in-game isn't something that you can change right now, that's not possible, but it is coming soon, according to Eric. This is something DICE heard from the open beta. They couldn't secure it for early access launch, but it will arrive soon. So at some point, you won't have to leave matches to change your specializations, which is a good thing. Something else that's going to appear in-game soon are special assignments. These are currently tracked in-game when you're playing, but they can't be managed in-game. That's going to change. Soon you'll be able to discard and select new special assignments in-game instead of having to leave matches to activate new ones. And lastly, the objective capture status that sits at the top of the screen, that gets hidden if a critical message pops up about the game mode. DICE is going to change that, and they're fixing it so that doesn't happen anymore, which is awesome. Another nice quality of life change there. Now, that is a lot to be working on. Some big quality of life changes that are going to make the experience better, and in my opinion, some game-changing additions in the pipeline. Arguably, body dragging is still the #1 feature that people really care about. I'm really excited for tactical deploy that's going to replace those deploy screens with something that's just much better, and I'm quite liking the idea of gunner crouch support. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that's implemented, and then seeing it for stationary weapons as well in the future once they've got that working. I will say, however, it is a little bit frustrating to not have a fixed date where we know these updates and changes are coming, but I understand that things need to be developed, they then need to be tested and then released, so locking down a date sometimes might lead to disappointment. If you have to push back the date because something went wrong, that's just more annoying for players in general, so I can understand a date not being given. It is good to hear, however, that updates and changes will start arriving as early as Chapter 1 of the Tides of War, which is called Overture, and that starts in early December. So here's hoping that DICE can keep up that pace and deliver those features that will make Battlefield 5 better and better as time goes on. But now, I think it's time to let me know what you think about this. Are these changes ones that you're looking forward to, or is there something else outside of these that you think needs to be looked at or changed? Let me know down below in the comments section. Make sure you subscribe to the channel with notifications switched on, that way you won't miss any of my future videos on Battlefield 5, and a big thank you to all of you for watching today. But until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.